Hey there, friends, and welcome back to 3-Minute Thoughts. My name is Derek. A few minutes each day, we slow things down, open scripture, and remember what really matters. Today, we're in 1 Corinthians chapter 4. And Paul asks a question that has a way of quietly dismantling pride. He writes, "What do you have that you did not receive?" Now, if you sit with that for a minute, you're going to realize everything from your abilities, opportunities, family, experiences, faith, influence, resources. How much of that stuff did you create from nothing? Paul's point is simple. Everything we have is ultimately a gift, and that changes how we think about ourselves. The Corinthians had begun thinking too highly of themselves. They were proud of their favorite teachers, proud of their spiritual gifts, proud of their status. So Paul reminds them who Christian leaders really are. Not celebrities, not owners, servants. In fact, the word Paul uses to describe this is under rower on a ship. It's the one who rows underneath the deck. It's out of sight, pulling the oars while someone else steered the vessel. It's not a glamorous job. It wasn't designed to attract attention, but it was an essential job. Then Paul uses another image, stewards. A steward managed someone else's household, someone else's possessions, someone else's resources. Nothing belonged to the steward. It had all been entrusted to them. And Paul says the primary requirement for a steward is not brilliance. It isn't popularity. It isn't success. It's faithfulness. That's worth remembering, because we often measure ourselves by results. God measures us by faithfulness. Paul even says something surprising. It is the Lord who judges me. He's not driven by public opinion, not crushed by criticism, not even placing ultimate confidence in his own assessment of himself. He knows that one day he'll answer to Christ, and that's enough. Then the tone shifts. Paul becomes almost sarcastic. Already you have all you want. Already you have become rich. You have begun to reign. You can almost hear the irony. The Corinthians were acting as though they had already arrived, as though the Christian life was about status and success. Meanwhile, Paul was enduring hardship, persecution, hunger, and rejection. He says, "We have become like the scum of the earth." That's not self-pity, it's perspective. Following Jesus was never about building a personal brand. It was about faithfully carrying a cross. Throughout Scripture, this pattern repeats itself. Joseph faithfully served Potiphar's house long before he ever led Egypt. John the Baptist understood his role perfectly when he said, "He must increase, but I must decrease." So one question we wrestle with here in chapter 4 is, what have you quietly begun to think of as yours that was actually given to you? Because gratitude grows where entitlement dies. That's it for today. Be well, friends.